No matter what stage of life you are in, one thing that should never stop is growing. There is always room to grow and be better. We want to share your story and celebrate your journey so far. This is the Grow Podcast, where we share growth stories and hope to inspire people towards their personal growth. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Grow Podcast. We are thankful that you guys have been with us from the beginning of... It's probably been about 2 months. Hey, yeah. It's Jennifer Jones, co-host. Because you're probably wondering why is he looking to the right?
Yeah,
as me. Co-host Jennifer Jones, as always. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I think at this point I should probably say a big thank you to all of you guys for hanging in there with us from the start of this journey. It was us stepping into this thing brand new.
Yeah, new territory.
No prior experience or anything. And we're still learning.
Yeah, we're learning, but we're getting there.
But we're thankful to everyone that has subscribed, that has on Facebook, on YouTube, Spotify. Mm-hmm. And for those of you that have not subscribed, okay.
What are you waiting for?
Hey, yeah, go, please, guys, subscribe on YouTube, on Facebook, Spotify. It's the Grow Podcast. We appreciate you guys. Okay, we always have special people on the show, and it's no different today. I guess today is someone whose story really it both inspires and excites me a lot. We all make mistakes, but not everybody is whether strong or responsible enough to pick themselves up and turn their lives around. I guess today for a long time, probably I would say did not live her life like she should, but she was on the verge of losing everything, including her son, her only child. And her story today is basically about how she fought to take back her life and her journey to continuing to be better and to improve herself. I said all of this to introduce to you guys the one and only Ashley Butler.
Hi.
How you doing, Ashley?
I'm good. How are you?
Was that good introduction? Did you
that
like
was
it?
Fabulous. I loved it. Yes.
I'm becoming a pro at this thing.
Yes.
You're very great.
Told you guys, man. Yes. I'm good. Yeah, listen, good to see you. I've known Ashley for about
2 years.
2 years.
Almost.
Yeah. I'll probably say it's something to try, but I'd probably say God probably brought our paths together because we didn't meet in the best of circumstances, but your journey and your story has just been a blessing and an inspiration. And I've talked to people about. I've been with people that are struggling, and I've used your story to inspire and motivate people.
And I hope it does. I really do.
I think it did. And hopefully today with this episode, it would go out. People would watch this and they would be inspired by...
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, by your past and who you have become and who you are still becoming.
And that's another part of why I'm here, is part of my growth. This is a big thing for me too.
Yeah. Thank you for coming. Yeah. We have this for you.
Yes, as I asked.
We have...
I said I will need those.
We have this for you.
Yes.
And we have another one. I got 2 packs for you.
Okay.
So just in case. It's right here.
Okay.
Help yourself. But I'm excited and I'm grateful and thankful that you decided to come here and just talk about...
And share your story with us, and we can be a part of that.
Yeah, talk about your victory.
It was hard for me to decide whether I wanted to do this or not, whether I was ready to do this or not.
She told me she was like, I don't think I can do it. I'm not gonna do it. I just don't think. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. It's okay. And I get a message from, was it a message or a call? I think it was a message or a call. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And she's like, you know what?
I want to do this.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I was like.
Inside, he was like, yes. And he was like, are you sure? It's okay if you don't. I was like, I really want to. And he was like,
yes. You try to be nice, but inside you're like,
yeah.
Because I have an idea about your story, and I knew that it's something that people would need to hear, and hopefully be blessed. So we're set to go. You ready?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I am.
Okay, so we just start from the beginning, and we just say, just tell us about your childhood. Sorry, growing up. What was life like with you growing up as a child?
Growing up as a child, life was good. I mean, my mom was a single mom for most of my childhood that I remember anyways.
Yeah.
She worked a lot, and I helped take care of my brother and sister, but
yeah.
We always had a happy life. Like we never,
Are you the oldest?
Yeah, I'm the oldest of 3.
Oh.
And we never struggled to my knowledge. And if we did, we never noticed it.
Yeah.
I had a really great childhood. Was never exposed to drugs or, as far as like I can remember, I don't remember any violence. I know that it happened, but I don't remember actually seeing it and stuff. I had a great childhood, even with just a one-parent family, had an amazing life.
Yeah.
Was never exposed to anything bad or adverse or anything like that,
Yeah.
And then, of course, my mom met my stepdad when I was 14, and he's an amazing man. That's the only dad I've ever known.
Yeah.
And he's awesome. He's absolutely, that's my dad. Like, that's the only dad I'll ever have. And so from that point on.
Is that the same one I know?
Nick, yeah. He is an amazing man. He really is.
Yeah.
So he walked into...
I'm not trying to hype. If you meet him, he's an amazing person.
He really is. He walked into a relationship with he was 10 years younger than my mom. Walked into a relationship with 3 kids, and he was 24 at the time.
Oh, wow.
And the youngest kid at that time was 8. And he stepped up, and he was just an amazing man. He still is an amazing man. But never still was I ever exposed to anything, violent, drugs, nothing like that.
So you had this amazing childhood, not exposed to anything. At what point did you kind of start to drift away and get exposed to those things that you ended up struggling with?
Okay. Well, when my grandmother passed away, okay, so let me go back a little bit before that. When I was 21, I had started dating a guy that was married.
Okay.
And that's actually my ex-husband now. He was married. I started seeing him. He left his wife, whatever. We dated and lived together for about 5 years.
Okay.
And then we ended up getting married. That marriage lasted about 6 months. As soon as right before we got married, he was violent. He was abusive, mentally, emotionally, physically abusive. There was some substance abuse there. There was, addicted to pain pills, alcoholism, on his part, things like that. And I thought that once I got married to him that things would get better. But of course it didn't. It just got worse because that's what it does. So I ended up being married for about 6 months. And
what age did you get married?
22, 23. 23, yeah.
And you had known him for 5 years before then?
Uh-huh, yeah.
So you probably met him when
I was 18.
18, okay.
Yeah. And we had got married, he moved me away from my family. We moved to Ada, Oklahoma, and moved me away from everything and everybody I knew, isolated me, and started to become more physically abusive. There was more hitting, throwing things, putting me down, making me feel like I was worthless, violence, rape, everything you could think of. And so it just came down to, at one point I'd seen my chance to escape, so I did. I stole a car in the middle of the night and drove all the way from Ada back to Hulbert to my mom's house and then return the car the next day to his father who had stole the car from, but that was my only chance. So that's what I did. At that point, when I had came home, I was so lost in my depression and everything that I had started drinking. That lasted about a month and a half. I was living with my mom, and she said, you're not going to keep doing this. You've had your time to, come to terms with yourself and what happened and grieve and get over it. And now it's time to pick yourself up and keep going. So I quit drinking.
This was 23?
Yeah.
23, okay.
This was a long time ago. Yeah. So I quit drinking and all that, and I lived with my mom and dad, and I didn't work or anything. I had dated, but they were all really good guys, they really honestly were good people. When I was 24, my grandma passed away. It was very sudden. It was unexpected to all of us. It was really hard on our whole family, especially my mom and my siblings and me, because we were all very, very close to her. Nobody seen it coming.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, our family was just kind of against each other because nobody knew how to handle it. So I had went and started staying with an ex of mine who was actually a drug cook. Yeah. And for a long time, I lived with him for probably 3 months and never touched any of it. And he didn't want me to. Like, he was totally against me ever being involved with it. And he had left for one day, and I was at the house we were staying at with two of people who I thought were my friends. And I just was crying and explaining, I don't know what to do. I can't stand my family. I can't stand myself. I can't deal with this. Mm-hmm. And they said, well, we don't know what to do, but I have this and it'll make all your feelings go away. And that was the first time I ever did dope. That was the first time I ever did meth.
Okay. How old were you?
24. Almost 25. Almost 25. And she was right. It did make my feelings go away. For a little while.
I was going to ask that. Yeah.
For a little while.
Yeah.
But then when the feelings came back, it was 100 times worse. And I moved back home with my mom because I just couldn't be that person. Yeah. I dropped 30 pounds in 1 month. And I didn't have anything to do with my family. Yeah. I even at one point had asked a member of my family to go buy stuff to help me get to the point to making drugs, which was something I thought I would never do. So I moved back home with my mom and dad, and they helped me get clean and get my life together.
How old were you? Like, how many years? I don't want to ask about your age.
At that point, I had been on drugs for 3 months before I moved back home. Okay, so 25, 26. This is all like within a year and a half. Okay. So I came back home, and they helped, and I told them straight up what was going on. I told them everything. And I said, I don't want to be like this, but I need help. I can't stay where I'm at. I can't be around these people. I have to have help. And they said, okay. So she took me in, and it was kind of what I call a forced rehab, which is where basically...
When you said they said, okay, this is your mom...
My mom and dad,
okay.
Nick, yeah.
And she took you, that's your mom? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, my mom and dad said, okay, well, you can stay here, but these are the rules. You're not allowed to go anywhere without either one of us. You're not allowed to have any cash. You're not allowed to make phone calls without us knowing about it. Yeah. And that's basically what got me sober the first time. And then I was sober for about 3 years after that. Like, I did good. I got a job. I stayed clean. I did good for myself. I was happy, healthy, loving life. Like,
for 3 years?
For 3 years.
Oh, wow.
3 solid years. Never touched a drug of any kind, a substance, nothing. Might have had a drink on the weekends or something, but never. Right. Yeah, for 3 years straight. Never had a mess up at all.
And then what happened?
And then I met the father of my child. And things were so fast, so quick. And now that I look back on it, that was not a smart choice. But
were you married to him?
I was not married to him, no. Okay. But I was with him for 7 years altogether. Mm-hmm. So this is a man that my sister had dated before. So I knew him previously. I knew that he wasn't the best person. But at that time of my life, like I was trying to make up for the childhood, like my later teen years that I had lost, you know, when I was taking care of my brother and sister and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not to validate any of thing that I did, but I think
you had to grow up fast. And
right. So I was regressing basically. Yeah. So I met him through my sister, and then a few years after they had split up, we started talking. And then we started dating. And then not even like 2 weeks after we started dating, I moved in with him. And then we lived together for probably 3 or 4 months. And I knew that he had a history with methamphetamine and pills and all kinds of stuff. Marijuana, whatever. Pretty much everything. Everything, yeah. And but to my knowledge, you know, he was trying to do better for himself. And he was young, too. He's 6 years younger than me. So
6 years younger than
5
me.
or 6 years, yeah. So to my knowledge, you know, he was trying to do better for himself. And I had never actually been around him when he was doing drugs, you know, the hard drugs. So I was like, okay, well, you know, I quit doing this stuff. And I've been clean for like 3 years now. So this should be no big deal. I can be his support system. You know, he can continue to get clean, which is the wrongest idea you can ever have with anybody, is to think that you can make them get clean from anything.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in the bedroom one night with him, and he was smoking meth. And he asked me if he could, and I said only if I can get high too. Because I didn't think that he would say yes, because he knew that I had been clean for so long. But he did. And that right there probably should have been my turning point, when I realized, you know what, he probably doesn't care about me at all. Yeah. But I didn't see it that way.
Yeah.
And that was the start of my downward spiral into meth.
So the first time you touched meth, it lasted about 3-4 months, right?
About 3 months.
3 years clean.
Mm-hmm.
And then this time, how long did you go?
How long did I stay on it?
Yeah.
About 6 years. Every day. Every day for 6 years. Every single day. And we're talking like massive amounts. Like.
Wow.
A lot.
Every day.
Every single day.
For 6 years.
It became where it was like a cup of coffee in the morning. I couldn't function without it. It didn't even get me high anymore. But I had to have it to function. Yeah.
Wow. That's a long time, though.
It's a very long time. But it did. It became like a cup of coffee. Like I would wake up in the morning, and before I even had a cup of coffee, I would do a line.
Did you use something else, or was it just meth?
It was just meth. I mean, I would take pain pills off and on. Yeah. But nothing as serious as the meth. No.
Yeah.
And it went from, you know, the what they call shake and bake meth.
So, shake and bake?
Which is like the powder. The powder form of meth that they cook.
Yeah.
And then it went from that to crystal meth.
Yeah.
And then it went from that to ice. Which is all basically, it's all methamphetamines, but it's just different forms of it.
Were you smoking, or were you shooting up?
I never shot up.
Okay.
He always shot up, but I never did, because I liked being high too much, and I was afraid that if I ever did it like that I would die, because I liked being high.
Yeah.
And I knew I seen other people that did it that way and how much of a hold it had on them. And it scared me into never doing it. But I smoked it, I snorted it, ate it.
I mean, I've never done meth or any drug. But it might be different. It might be different for different people. But let me just ask you, for you, what do you think is how does it make you feel? Why because there's a high level of addiction.
Mm-hmm.
So for you, what made you stay on it?
Honestly, the reason I stayed on it is because of the reason I started it. Because I didn't feel anything. I didn't have any emotions. I didn't have any hurt, any regret. Your body and your mind is so busy trying to just stay up with the dope, like the way it makes you feel, that you don't have time to sit down and think about how bad you feel about doing it in the first place until you come down.
So is that?
But if you're on it for 6 years straight every day, you don't ever come down.
So it's like it's a good feeling. Like you doesn't make you feel.
You know, if somebody
good.
would have asked me a long time ago if it's a good feeling, I would have said yeah.
Oh, now it's different, right?
It's, I don't know how to explain it. It's not a good feeling, but it's not a bad feeling either. It's a no feeling. It's literally a nothingness. It's nothing. You have no emotions. You have no attachment. You have no regard. You have nothing.
Yeah.
You just exist. That's it. You don't feel bad. You don't feel great. You don't feel anything.
How long were you with him before you got pregnant?
6 years. The first time I got pregnant? When I had the miscarriage?
Yeah.
4 years.
It was with him too?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So 4 years. And I had a miscarriage. I was 3.5 months along.
Okay.
And I had literally, as soon as I found out I was pregnant, I quit doing everything. I still smoked cigarettes, but I quit doing all the drugs, the pills, everything stopped.
Yeah.
And had a miscarriage. There was no definite reason why. The doctor didn't tell me. And I'm assuming it's probably from the withdrawal from the drugs. I don't know. And then 2 years after that, I had found out that I was pregnant with Nicholas.
Before we go into, because that was like the turning point.
Yeah.
So before we go into that, I just want to ask you one question. 6 years of you doing drugs and all that stuff. Because now I know how very close you are with your family. That's your major support system.
Yeah, that is my support system.
How much harm, how much hurt did that drug do to you and your family?
More than you could ever know.
How did mom feel? Because I know your mom, I know your dad. How did they feel?
My family pretty much mourned me as if I was dead. And I don't blame them.
Yeah.
There was times when I went 6 months without talking to my mom. And me and my mom are super close now, and we were before. My sister.
Sorry, go ahead.
My sister mourned me, my mom, my dad. Everybody knew what was going on, but it was horrible. I tore our family apart and didn't even know I was doing it. I didn't care that I was doing it because I was so high all the time that I didn't care about anything.
Yeah. I know that you have, because it's really hard. I know that you have, like, I know you have nieces. I don't know if you have nephews.
Yeah,
I'm not
I
sure.
have nieces.
I know
3
you have
nieces.
nieces, 3 nieces. So I don't think you were and they're probably around that age.
I
So
remember.
I would guess you were not like a part of their birth growing up.
I have
at
one
that
niece
time.
that's 9, and that's my sister's stepdaughter.
Yeah.
My niece Brandy, my sister's firstborn baby.
Yeah.
I remember going to see her in the hospital the day after she was born, and I was so high that I couldn't even sit still. And I can't even remember to this day what that day was like. Like, I can't even remember holding her for the first time. I missed out on so much. You know? And me and my sister always had all these big plans, you know, about being best friends and having our kids raised together, you know, and stuff. And then I wasn't there for that. I let her down. And it was really hard for me to realize that when I got, you know, to a point in my recovery where I started to have to realize these things. And I was like, you know, I don't even remember holding Brandy the first time. I don't remember holding her.
Wow.
You know, and now I try to be as much a part of their life as I can.
Yeah.
You know, trying to make up for lost time. And then they don't know. Of course, they don't know that I wasn't there, you know, because they were so little. But I try to make up for it, you know, because I feel so bad that I wasn't there.
Okay, so let's lead up to the second pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
I know you were talking about that. I cut you off.
You're okay.
Do you want to take it from
Yeah,
here?
just whenever with your son, like, that was your turning point, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to tell us about that and So you were you gonna say something?
No. I was looking at your face.
You were looking at me, so I was like,
I was looking at your face.
Can we take a break for just a second?
yeah.
Oh,
Can
yeah.
we have just a minute?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, sure.
Sorry.
So from your nieces, then you like it. How did that do the whole like when you had your son and all of that? Like, what is that? What was that timeline like?
From the time that my niece was born, the first niece, there was, let's see, 4 years between that and when my son was born. So I think me being like that when my niece was born and me missing out on so much that me and my sister had planned to do together kind of inhibited my fall further into that lifestyle.
Because you were still in meth during those 4 years,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah. Never stopped the whole 6 years I was with his father. Never stopped. Not once.
Okay.
I honestly didn't think at that point, after I'd lost my first child, I didn't think that I was going to be able to have kids because of the drugs, you know. So it had never really occurred to me.
But did you want kids?
Before that, yes. At that point in my life, no.
Okay.
Because
before the first miscarriage, was just one. So before the miscarriage, you wanted kids?
yeah, even after the miscarriage, I
Okay.
wanted kids.
Okay.
But there became a certain point, probably halfway between when my niece was born and when I got pregnant, there was a point when I just had thought to myself that maybe it wasn't
A good idea.
It wasn't a good idea because of the lifestyle I was having, the things I was doing. If, I hadn't been able to have a child by now, and you got to remember I was 28, 29 by this point. So if I hadn't been able to have a child by now, then maybe that was just kind of God's way of saying, you don't need this.
So when you got pregnant, were you excited or were you like, oh no?
With Nicholas?
Yeah, with Nicholas.
I was super excited.
Okay.
I was scared. Not just because of having a baby and that lifestyle and everything, but I was, and it sounds super selfish, but to be honest, I was scared because I knew I was going to have to quit doing everything I was doing.
Did you?
I did for a while.
How long is a while?
A few months. And then at some point I had just fell back into it.
While you were still pregnant?
While
right?
I was pregnant. Knew I was pregnant.
Yeah.
And had started doing drugs again. I had quit a couple months before my son was born. I quit because he was born premature. He was born at 7.5 months. Yeah. But before that, I had quit. We had got kicked out of his grandma's house when I was about 5 months pregnant in the middle of summer because of an altercation between him and his aunt that had lived there at the time. So we got kicked out of the house, and rather than going home to my mom and dad or my sisters or somebody's, my pride, my stubbornness. And we basically lived off the streets for about a month and a half.
And you were pregnant at this time?
I was pregnant in the middle of summer, living off the streets, no money, no car, nothing. Now I could have had...
Wait, sorry. No money.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask this question.
Uh-huh.
Drugs are expensive, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. That's why we had no money. I mean...
Because I've seen people that we don't have money, we're broke. And they still do these drugs every day.
And that's why they're broke. Because every bit of money... Because every bit of money...
Is there another way that people get these drugs without cash? Is there some kind of deal?
You trade,
Yeah.
trade work, you trade items. I never traded myself, if that's what you're getting at. I never did that. I never got that
I wasn't
low.
guessing at that, but...
No,
yeah.
I never did that.
But people do that, right?
But people do that, yeah, all the time.
Yeah. Did you ever trade any kind of thing? Any kind of material thing?
Oh, yeah, all the time. Tools, TVs,
Wow.
stuff that was stolen. Anything that we could get our hands on that was worth anything that you could trade for drugs.
Wow.
That's how I ended up with my first felony charge. My only felony charge, actually, lucky me, was we robbed a liquor store.
Wow.
And traded some of the liquor for dope. And then I ended up with a felony charge that'll, even though it's expunged, it'll never go away. Second-degree burglary kind of stays with you for the rest of your life.
When say we robbed the liquor store, how many of you guys did it?
Four of us.
Wow. Because you just talked about not having any money.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I know I've met a lot of people that do drugs.
And they never have any money.
They don't have any money.
Because they spend it all on drugs.
I was just thinking, is there like some other way that they still get this drugs? I kind of knew that there probably would be some kind of deal.
Right.
But
just because, like you said, you did it every day. And then it's like, how do you have the money to do it every day?
There's a lot of, there's a lot of times when I knew people that had money that were bigger than what we were doing with the drugs, because we sold them, we did them, whatever.
Oh, you sold too?
Yeah. But there was people that were bigger than us that always had the money, always had the drugs, and we were friends with them or buddies. They weren't my friends, but now I see that. But back then they were. And, if I needed to get high, I could just go to their house and get high with them. And it wasn't no big deal, And that's another thing that makes you think that they're your friends is because
they let you.
If you need to get your fix, they'll give you your fix.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been to different houses where I've just been like, I just need to get high. And they'll let you get high off their stuff that they paid for or whatever they did for it, because they don't want to see you going through not being high. The withdrawals and the searching and the scanning and the scamming and scratching through everything you can think of to try to get a fix.
Yeah. All right, let's get back to track. We're talking about the son, and you got pregnant. You were excited. You were happy. You guys got kicked out. You said you did not use at the beginning of the pregnancy.
I didn't.
And then you got into it.
3 months.
And then you said
or something.
And then you said you stopped before he was born. How long before he was born did you stop?
Probably a month and a half.
So is that why he was born premature?
They didn't tell me. So his meconium, I think is what it's, the umbilical cord came back negative. It was throughout my pregnancy, there had been positive tests. My UAs had came back positive for meth.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And so had gotten reported. And that's when the DHS had gotten involved.
But after he was born,
he was not positive. I was not positive. No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay. I thought he was positive.
No.
Okay.
But because of all the UAs that were positive throughout my pregnancy, that's why DHS was involved after he was born.
And he was removed from you.
He was.
Immediately or?
Yeah.
He was 3 days old when DHS took custody of him. He was born early, so they, of course, sent him to the NICU at St. Francis. Right. He was born at Tahlequah City, and he was transferred to the NICU that night. But he didn't really have any health issues. He was breathing on his own, like, the next day. Like, he didn't have any health issues whatsoever. But they wanted to keep him just in case. So they sent him to the NICU. So me and his father had went up there, and we were staying at the Ronald McDonald House. And we're going up there every day trying to get ready. You know, they were fixing to release him. He was 3 days in there. And a DHS caseworker from Tulsa had come up there and interviewed both of us separately. And me just being who I am, I was completely honest with her about everything, about how long I had been on the drugs and why I tested positive and all this stuff. And then she interviewed him, and I don't know what was said between them. But we were supposed to have an interview with a DHS worker from Cherokee County. And at the time that we were supposed to have the interview, they had already went up there and taken custody of him. So as soon as I had found out they had taken custody of him, I called my sister and told her what was going on. And we had went up to the hospital, and they told me that I had to give up my badge. You know, I couldn't go up there and see him without being escorted by security.
Oh, boy.
So at 3 days old, I couldn't see my son. And they made me walk right past his room to talk to the DHS worker. Told me I couldn't go in there, couldn't say bye to him. So she asked me, she said, is there anybody any family members that you want him to try to be placed with?
Man, that must have really hard, man. Can't imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I told her my sister, and I gave her all her information that I had. And my sister did end up, they said we try to place him with family first. And I said, okay. And so my sister did end up getting temporary guardianship custody of him, which was a blessing. It really was. But that was the point when I really started to hate myself for what I had done. Even though at that point I had spent, time off and on throughout my whole pregnancy. And the last couple months before he was born, I had spent trying to better myself and get clean. And I was clean and doing better and all this stuff and trying to straighten my life out. But it still seemed like, to me in my mind, the past had come back to bite me.
Yeah.
Even though I was doing what I was supposed to be doing at that time.
And I'm sure you were going through all kinds of emotions at that point.
Oh my God, I know. And here was my son, 4 pounds, 13 ounces, a month and a half early in the NICU. And they wouldn't even let me say bye to him. I was not allowed to see him at all. No circumstances whatsoever. But at least I knew that, and we had went to DHS court the next day in Cherokee County. And somehow it come up that I had a warrant. So I didn't even get to speak at DHS court. I got arrested at DHS court. So you can imagine how bad that looks when you go to DHS court for your kid and then you get arrested. So
it's kind of like, yep, we made the right decision by removing him.
Right. So, which funny story, like I get arrested and then I get OR'd out within 2 hours. I don't even get taken to jail. I get walked downstairs to the Drug Task Force office, and then they OR me out. So, but that was when it had come to light that Nicholas's father was doing things for the police, through the Drug Task Force and everything. And then I think that had something to do with it. I'm not sure. Either way, I didn't get to do or say anything at DHS court. It was automatically determined already before I even walked in there that this was going to happen. But my sister did end up with custody of him. And I'm really thankful for that. I didn't get to see him very much in the beginning. But I did everything I was supposed to do. I started my counseling, my substance abuse counseling.
Just let me consider before you before you get into that. He was removed from you. What was your mindset like? Was it, I'm going to do everything I can to get my child back, or like what was in your head at that point when he was removed? When you knew.
Because I could see where it would make you want to even start using again because you're just like going through all those emotions.
I never did though.
There are some people that situation just gets them, you know what? F it. I'll just go do what I want to do.
I never did though because I knew that if I did and somehow it was found out about or anything like that, or if I spiraled even further down, that there was no chance in hell that I was ever going to get my kid back.
So and I couldn't do that. To fight to get him back.
This was it. This was
that was like the breaking point.
That was the breaking point. That was it. This was the final straw. I was done.
Okay.
I had to do this.
I have another question too, because I know at this point yourself and the father of your child were still together.
Yes.
Right. And I know I've talked with you, and I know that somewhere down the line, you guys went your separate ways. At what point did you realize that if you were going to get your son back, you had to do this by yourself because he wasn't going to help? Being with him was not going to help your situation. At what point did you?
When I realized that it was probably, Nicholas was probably 2 months old, maybe almost 2 months old. Yeah. And we had opportunities, to because his father's Cherokee. So,
Yeah.
of course, Cherokee Nation is always,
Mm-hmm.
there's help everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. The situation was different for me. I'm not Cherokee. I don't have insurance. So everything was recommended through DHS. And if it hadn't been for that, I wouldn't have been able to afford to do any of it. But he had every opportunity hand over fist to him.
Yeah.
And it was always some kind of excuse as to why he couldn't do it, why they wouldn't let him do this, why they couldn't understand this, And that was when I knew he's not going to do this.
So you wanted to, for you would have liked for you guys to work together, but you were doing what you were supposed to do, and he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do.
At that point in time, honestly, I don't think, as far as the relationship between me and him, I don't think that there was really even anything left there worth fighting for, because everything had been so bad before that.
Yeah.
The abuse and everything had been so bad before that I don't think that I was even really willing to stay with him.
Because I know there was a few times where you had told me that you would at least like him to be in.
I would have loved for
Yeah.
him to be a part of his son's life if
Yeah.
he could have done it the right way.
Yeah.
But that was all that was. I don't think it had anything to do with me and his relationship.
So at that point, he didn't care to even try to.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
So that was when I pretty much realized I can't do this. Like, I'm not going to get my kid back if I'm with you. It's not going to happen, because even if I do the right thing and you're not doing anything,
Right.
I'm still not doing anything.
Right.
So we had talked about it one day, and we were already living separately. I was living with my mom and dad, trying to do the things I was supposed to be doing. He was living with his grandma. And we had talked about it, and I asked his grandma, take me home. And we were fighting and arguing in the car. And he had choked me in the car from the back seat of the car and was choking me and cussing at me, hitting me in the back of the head, all this stuff. And so when I got to my mom and dad's house, I texted my sister and told her what was going on. And she said, if you don't call the police, I'm going to call them. So I called the police. I filed a report, went down to court, filed a restraining order, protective order against him, all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And when we went to court for the protective order, the judge said, do you have any objections to this, Mr. So-and-so? And he said, does this have anything to do with visitation with my child? And she says, as of right now, no, your child's in DHS custody. And he said, okay, no, I don't have any objections. She said, so you basically admit to doing this? And he said, yeah.
Wow.
And she said, okay, protective order granted. And it was at that point that I knew that me and him were completely 100% over, which I pretty much knew before.
Right.
But I knew he wasn't going to. Anybody that cares about visiting or being a part of their child's life is not going to try to make themselves out to be somebody that's abusive and violent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't do any of the stuff that DHS had recommended or set out for him to do. Nothing was ever progress in his area. Nothing. And the more it progressed, the more hope I lost of him becoming a person that could be a part of his son's life. And so at some point I had to come to terms with, you know what, I'm going to be the only parent this child ever has.
Mm.
And maybe not ever, but for a while, that I'm
Right.
going to be mom and dad. And I'm okay with that now. It took a long time, but I'm okay with that.
I have another question, because I work with DHS, so I've seen parents that are addicted to whether it's drugs or medication, pills, whatever it is, and they have a child just like you did, and I see in their face they love the child, they want to be in the child's life, but somehow they are just not able to beat that addiction. Now, from my knowing you and my talk with you, I kind of felt like I didn't feel like you were addicted. I felt like you were just vulnerable. Those people that
Oh, we had talked about that.
those
Yeah.
people that you're dating someone, he uses drugs. I really love him,
So I feel like
You get sucked
I'll
in.
just
yeah.
do it because he's doing it.
Right.
Because what I saw with you was the moment you left him, like, you were good. And you had, of course, the support system from your family. And so I'm going to ask you, because you had talked about your addiction. Do you really feel like you were addicted to drugs? Or do you think that it was the vulnerability. I don't want to play down on your story or how you feel. I just want to know what your thoughts are on that.
I feel like maybe, I mean, I can't say I wasn't addicted to the drugs, but I can say that I was addicted to the mindset that I had when I was on the drugs, because it made me numb. But then when I had my son, I had something to be happy about, because I was so miserable before that. I was so unhappy, and I was just complacent with my unhappiness. I was just like, whatever, I don't even care. I don't care if I live or die. I don't care if I'm beat up or loved, or I don't care. But when I had my son, I had something to be happy about, something to work towards, something to improve myself for, somebody who depended on me.
Right. I was always going to love you. And
as something constant that would always be there.
Because, I mean, you would think that it should be everybody. Like, you see your child and you're like, oh no, drugs go, everything go, I'm going to fight for my child. But it's really, really, it could get really frustrating. You see people and, the child is taken from them, they come for visitation, they are high. UAs after UAs after UAs failed, and it's just like, what other motivation do you need? How else do you motivate someone apart from, I mean, if your child is not enough motivation for you,
right? And sometimes it's where that addiction is just like, it controls them. It's their life. It's what and
it's sometimes
it's so much stronger than even that bond with their child.
And that's why I kind of feel, I mean, maybe you had an addiction, but probably you just, I don't know, maybe it's just a personality thing, or it's just, I mean, I don't know.
I've had family members who have, kind of been in the same situation, and their kids are with other family members because they weren't able to take care of them. And, and some of those kids we see all the time, and some we don't, because we only see like once a month because they live somewhere else.
I think a big part of mine was because I had waited for so long to start a family and have a baby. That was something I always really, really wanted.
Well, not to be like your miscarriage, it kind of
that was a breaking point for me when I really went deep into the drugs and stuff.
And I think a big part of yours too was your support system.
Yeah, that was that was probably one of the things that saved my life. Besides my son, was my family. Yeah. Even though I had spent so many years doing them so wrong and neglecting them as my family and being a horrible person, they never turned their backs on me. Like, they were there the second I needed them. They were there,
What are a lot of people don't have that of things that they did to be there for you.
They knew that I was on drugs for so many years, and that was the reason I lost my son. My mom and dad still took me into their house, helped me, fight through all the stuff that I was dealing, all the emotions and everything. I was waking up in the middle of the night crying because I missed my baby. My sister had taken my son in as her, as one of her own, basically, and fought for me to be able to be around him as much as I could, as much as they would allow at that time. Everybody was very supportive, and they were, we believe in you. We're proud of everything that you've done, even when I hadn't accomplished hardly anything.
Yeah.
Everything was a proud moment with them, and that's something a lot of people don't have. And I feel bad for them. I really do. Because that's probably one of the things that saved me.
While we're celebrating your son for being a turning point, we're celebrating the support system, I really want to celebrate you, because I've seen people that have amazing support system, like amazing support system, and still it did not work. So you can have all these things, but the person that actually does the work is you.
Right.
Do you understand? I've seen people that, they had the child, fantastic support system, like, listen, we'll pay your rent, we'll do everything you need to do if you would just stay straight. They still were not able to stay away from this addiction. So I'm looking at you and I feel like, yes, you had the motivation from your son, you have fantastic support system. Like, I love your mom, I love your dad, I love your sister and her husband and your nieces. But what made the difference was you took it.
Yeah.
They were all there, they offered themselves to you, and you took it.
Yeah.
You know, because 100% possible you could have been like, man, I need to, but maybe after 3-4 months, man, I need to go just take some more drugs again or something, you know. But you took it and you didn't run with it, like you basically flew with
Yeah.
it.
I took it and I
You-
ran
you-
faster
you
than I ever
didn't-
have.
You didn't run, you flew with that thing, man. And you know, you worked your plan. What was the whole journey with working your plan? What was that like?
It was hard,
Yeah.
but it was easy all at the same time, if that makes sense. It was hard for me to do it. It was hard for me to admit some things. It was hard for me to, and there was times when it was hard for me to stick with it. Like, I did everything so head on with my plan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was doing 3 or 4 different types of counseling. I was doing DHS meetings. I was doing my own personal growth at home, you know, working on myself and what I needed to do. I was trying to reconnect with my family, you know, because at this time, 3-4 months into 6 years of absence from my family. So I was trying to rebuild relationships. I was trying to establish relationships. I was trying to build a relationship with myself. I stayed so busy that I don't even remember having time to breathe. Like, I just did it because I knew that's what I had to do to get my son back.
And I'm sure that was all pretty overwhelming, you know,
It
having
was.
to, you know, having all these emotions and having to rebuild these relationships that you hadn't had for 6 years. And
But they made it so easy. They made it so easy. They really
awesome.
did. They were so open about everything, and they were just like, and I remember times when my mom would be so upset about the littlest things. She had to go get fingerprinted one time in Oklahoma City, and oh my God, I never heard the end of it. I still hear about it all the time because she had to go to Oklahoma City to get fingerprinted.
Jesus Christ.
I still hear about that. But, you know, they were just like, you know, you just do what you need to do. Do it. My mom always said it's doable. It might suck. It might be hard. It might be easy. But it's always doable.
Yeah.
Just depends on if you want it. And I knew for fact from day one that was what I wanted.
I want to give you, cause some of you might not. When I said she flew with it. Some of you might not understand. But let me give you. I know you completed high school, right? But from after you finished high school till you were this DHS case, probably about 12, 13 years after. There really was nothing that you could have said, this is what I did with my life. And then this case came with DHS. And I know that one of the things you did was you wrote down a 1-year plan and a 5-year plan. Right? And I remember I saw your 1-year plan and I was like, listen, chill. I mean, don't get too excited with this whole stuff. Because I don't want you to write the plan.
I remember within,
and it's like you don't hit your target, and it's like don't get too ambitious.
Do you remember what I wrote?
I think I can't remember.
Yeah.
And I was like, relax, chill, write goals that are achievable. You achieved all of that stuff in
less
probably
than 8 months.
Yeah, you paid off.
What was the biggest thing you achieved in that year?
Can you say what was all in your 1-year plan?
One of them was to complete my counseling and get my certificate for my sobriety. One of them was to
get your child back.
Get my child back. One of them was to get a job. One of them was to have my own place to live. And
pay off all your...
And pay off all my probation and fines.
Oh, wow.
And the only thing that I did not complete within 1 year exactly was get my own place to live. But I did that within 1 year and 3 months.
And I think why you did not do that was...
because I knew it wasn't time for me.
It was advised that you shouldn't do that at that time. It wasn't advisable for you to be by yourself.
Right.
Yeah, it was advised that you should still stay around your family.
My support
system.
That support system. Kind of get some reasonable stability before you move by
Yeah.
yourself. But in probably like 6 months or so, like the 1 year plan was all gone.
Yeah.
She paid off all
I did.
her probation fee. And when you called me, you were like, "It's not paid off."
I was so excited.
Paid off all her probation fees, did everything, and again to show you, she got a job. And then your family and friends surprised you with a car.
Yeah.
Right, I remember that you called me
Yes.
too.
Yes, I did.
Surprised you with the car, and it's just, and the exciting thing with this is you've just never looked back since then.
No.
You're nowhere close to where you want to be, I'm sure. But one thing that is sure is you are way far from where you used to be. And it's still working everybody's working.
It's
in
always
progress.
a work in progress.
Everybody is.
And don't get me wrong, there's days when I struggle. There's days when I struggle so hard that I just break down and cry because I don't even know what else to do about it.
Yeah.
But I pick myself up. And it might take me a day, but I pick myself up and I've got to do this. I've got to do this.
You know what makes me feel good about this? DHS for most people is evil.
Horrible.
Kind of.
And that's how I felt about it too.
It just feels good to see someone say DHS changed my life.
If it hadn't been on it, and I'm not talking you up, so don't stretch your headphones out yet. I'm saying if it hadn't been for me having a good caseworker that was a very good advocate for me, that really put forth the extra effort to make sure I got to counseling when I didn't have transportation, to make sure I got to visitation, make sure I stayed, helps keep me on track. I don't know how much longer it would have taken me to do all that stuff, but I had an excellent caseworker that really did care, and that's something you don't find a lot in DHS, but I did get lucky.
Well, whoever that caseworker was, God bless him or her.
Yes.
Moving on to the next thing.
Wait, I do have one question.
Okay,
So you said in your 1 year plan, one of them was to get your son back. How long did that take?
From start to finish, 8 months. It was the fastest case that the judge had ever seen. And it was totally against her recommendation,
Yeah,
too.
but he was living with you by...
We did trial...
reunification by the 4th month.
4.5 months.
Yeah,
Oh,
by
wow.
the 4th month. And then... And I think
And the only reason it took so long in the end was because of COVID hit. So the court dates got pushed back.
Yeah.
So it really would have been like 6.5 months. It was the fastest she'd ever seen.
And the major argument that kind of gave the judge confidence was your support system. And I remember your sister and her husband in court, and your sister was basically like, "Oh no, you guys don't bother. If she messes up,
I will snatch that baby up and I will take it away from her." That's what she said to the judge.
And she's here. Jessica is here, but I don't think she wants to come to the camera. Yeah, she's out of
That's what she said. Oh no, she
like,
messes
oh,
up.
No, you guys, no, the child is safe. Trust me, the child is safe. If she messes up, well, and the judge was like, "Okay,
Yeah.
okay."
Like she was so serious as a heart attack. Best believe I'll get that baby, snatch her right up out of her, and I will bring him up here and we'll fix this.
Yeah, I just think I feel like it was a combination of, and that's just I think that most people and it's not just with DHS, it's even now. Don't get me wrong, there are probably bad police officers. Everything, there are bad doctors, there are bad, every profession.
There's good and bad in everybody.
There's bad politicians, there's bad engineers, there's bad anything. But I think that the core of every system, whether it's with the police or DHS, they mean well. Do you understand? And most times with most people just want to fight the system.
They're mad and they're angry because they didn't get their way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the approach people come with. You're stopped by the cops, and then you have, like your phone out, and the cops face, and and it's just like, just relax and just chill. Just say hi to the officer, answer the questions, and he would
do what he needs to do.
And you leave. Like I said, there might be those ones that are just horrible. But I 100% believe that the good ones are way more than the bad ones.
Yeah.
Do you understand? And I feel like it's the same thing with DHS, with everywhere. Most people come with that anger. They are mad at the workers. They are mad at DHS.
When
And
really
so,
they should be mad at themselves.
and so instead
Well,
of...
and in that mindset
Yeah.
too. I mean,
And so
you think of DHS and it's like, oh,
And so-
it's bad.
A
Yeah.
case that would have been over in 6 months ends up going 1 year, 2 years, because you're trying to calm. It's just crazy. I wish that most people will just come in, see what they need to do, but I'm like really, really happy for you. Every time I see you or talk with you, whether it's in Messenger or face to face, it's just fantastic what you have done, because you did it, and that's the truth. What you have done, and let's ask you like a very right question. How's life now? Like, how are you doing now? With Nicholas is how old now?
He'll be 2 in August.
Over 2.
Yeah.
And you've had him this whole time. Your sister hasn't had to snatch him.
No snatching. No baby snatching. No. Sometimes I call her and I'm like, will you please come get this kid? But no, life is
How's
awesome.
motherhood?
I love it. It's the
Good.
best life.
Imagine if, just think about, because I can't think about, I have 2 kids and I can't imagine my
Life
kids not
without
being,
them.
imagine
Yeah.
if you were not with that boy.
I would be dead. I'm not kidding. That boy saved my life. That was the turning point that saved my life. I wouldn't be sitting here.
How are you enjoying it now?
I love it. I do. It's stressful and it's so hard sometimes, especially being a single mom, working a full-time job.
Oh, trust me, but
and living
I
on
have
our
my
own.
wife with me, and it's there are
It's
times
still
I'm
hard.
like, take this baby.
Yes. It's so
You know?
it's hard, but it's so worth it.
Yeah.
It's so rewarding. It is. And it even to the point to where I rely on him more than he relies on me, but he doesn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I sometimes put him in bed with me at night, not because he wants to be there, but because I want him there, you know?
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know. That's the only reason I wake up every morning is because of him.
I'm going to look at Jen when I'm asking you this question. So what's your plan for dating?
For what?
Or are you dating already? Or what's your plan?
Why'd you have to look at her when you asked me that?
Okay, fine. I'm going to look at you then.
Okay.
Fine. So what's your plan with dating?
I don't have
He
a plan.
was scared of your reaction.
Because he knows what it is. I don't have no reason to date anybody right now.
How? You said, okay.
If it happens,
You
it
said-
happens, but
chill,
it's not happening.
You said it right now. So is there like a time frame?
No, I don't have a set schedule for
Or
it.
do you have a goal? I want to do this before I date. Do you have, is there, or is it just?
I want to keep my own plan alive for a year, but my mom's been keeping that one alive, so it doesn't count, apparently, according to her.
You had a 5-year plan, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember. What wasn't the 5-year plan?
Dating was not in there.
Okay.
Dating was not in
What
there.
was in the 5-year plan?
School was in there.
Yeah, school.
Yes.
What else was
I'm
in
looking
there?
into that.
I can't remember. I know I had the 1-year plan in my head, but I can't remember
I don't
the 5
remember what
year.
else was on there. I know school was in there, and I know that having my own place was in there, which I'm already.
Yeah, already had.
I mean,
yeah.
it's an apartment, but
Yeah,
I'll get there. Yeah.
Still your own.
And working in my career field that I'm going to school
yeah.
for.
How is work going?
I don't like my job particularly, but I am thankful to have a job.
Yeah. And you've had it for how long now?
I've been there for like a year and 7 months.
And that's a positive.
Yeah.
And if you've been at the place and you've grown to
I'm a
Assist-
shift manager.
shift manager.
Yeah, second
Yeah.
assistant.
Yeah.
Basically.
So that's a big positive. Yeah, so I mean, you've gained some experience. You can always either move up in the same organization or move somewhere else.
I'm trying to find
It
something more
depends
stable and structured.
Yeah.
Nicholas is going to start daycare next month, so
Yeah.
I'm nervous about that, but it'll be good for him.
Are you in any kind of contact with his father?
No.
Not try to reach out
He
to
has
you?
tried to reach out to me a couple times.
He misses you. Go ahead, sorry. Go ahead.
He does not miss me. He doesn't ever miss anybody but himself, Daniel, and you know this.
I like to pull her leg. Go ahead.
He does. He likes to get me riled up about it. He's reached out to me a couple times, but I haven't ever responded to him.
Yeah. Why?
Because
Are
I have a
you-
protective order against him, and
Oh,
because
yeah.
I feel like it's not in Nicholas's best interest to have anything to do with him until he proves to me otherwise.
if he's
Is he still living that same life?
As far as I
I
know,
was gonna ask.
yeah. As far as I know, but I don't talk to him. So
If you
Right.
can
If he
confirm that
wasn't-
he's straight,
if he wasn't, I would assume that he would be trying to do the things to rectify the
Right.
relationship with
yeah,
his son.
that's true.
But as
though.
far as I know, he's not doing that either. So
Mm.
that tells me that he's still not doing right.
Right.
So if he cleans himself up and straightens himself up, would you be open to letting him have a relationship with his son?
If he did every single thing that he was supposed to do,
Yeah,
and he's continued to stay clean and live a
Yeah.
good life,
yeah.
I would be open to him having visitation with him. It would have to be under certain circumstances for a long time before I would be even the
Yeah.
slightest bit trusting of anything with him.
Unsupervised or something. Not.
It would have to be completely
Unsupervised,
supervised for a long
okay.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just because I
know.
don't trust him.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's
I mean,
understandable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't even let his family have visitation with him because I don't trust them either because they're his family.
I'm a
And they're
big,
part of that lifestyle. They condone that lifestyle. So,
I'm a big advocate for. I feel like parents, whether it's dad, mom, should be in a child's life, but safety is.
and you were a
Absolutely.
big advocate
It's
for
key.
him too until
Well,
what point, Daniel?
I don't know what you're talking about. Mom.
Until you said, Ashley,
Of course, you try
Your
to
sister
give.
was right. You were right.
You try to give everybody a chance.
I gave him so many
you-
chances.
You don't want to just see someone and be like, oh no, no matter how bad it looks, you try to
Mm-hmm.
put your hands on someone's shoulder and be like, hey, come on, you can do it. And then if they don't take it, and that's why I said, with your support system, with your son and all that stuff, you did it.
Yeah.
Because you can have, I mean, like you said, he's tribal, right? The tribe has like fantastic resources.
Yeah.
They do.
I know,
Basically anything he
you
could have
know,
wanted was
even
handed
with
to
the
him.
tribal worker, the fantastic resources.
Yeah.
Still didn't do it,
He didn't do any of it.
So
And when
And
he
he
did
still
do,
hasn't, right?
No.
So, I mean,
and what he did do, he did for like a week or two, and then he was done with it and just whatever.
yeah.
well,
You have any more questions for me, Daniel?
do you have any questions for me?
No.
It's not as bad as you thought it was going to be, right? It was good.
It was good. It took me a couple
do you
weeks
feel?
to psych myself up to do this. I just want
Yeah.
you to know that. Like, I even went and seen Miss Myrtle the other day to make sure I was going to be okay doing this.
Are there people, let me just say this, just to, because we're about to end this, you know, when you, I don't know who said this, I think it was, who did I hear this from? I think it was George Mattis. I watched all those shows.
Judge Mathis.
And I think it was him, yeah. And he talked about, most times when people like do drugs and things like this and they've hurt people that they love, they just feel like, I'm clean now, so I should get all my privileges.
Right.
No.
You know, and it's slow. Are there people that you probably just want to maybe give a shout out to? I know you talked about your parents already. Your dad, I love your dad. Your dad, your mom, of course, your sister, her husband. Are there some other people that probably helped you through this journey, or maybe are
Jenny.
helping you now?
Jenny and Logan, they'll be watching this as soon as it comes on. They're super excited for me to do it. Jennifer Farmer, she's been a really big support for me through this too.
Yeah.
Basically, all the people that were my friends and family before I fell into this 7-8 years ago
Yeah.
were still there when I came out of it.
Yeah.
They're real friends. You know, they were still there. They were like, we're here for you. You know, if you need
And that's
whatever
not
you-
always the case. I
It's
mean,
not.
Yeah.
No, but they were always right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why you know real friends.
Yep.
That's,
That's how you know they're
Yeah.
your
Yeah,
friends.
that's
For
how you
That's
know
why
your
my
friends.
circle's so small, but
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with
Listen,
that.
it's not quantity, it's quality.
It is quality.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can have 50 people in your circle and it's just a bunch of crap. And you probably
Yeah.
could just have 5 quality people.
Outside of my family,
You know,
I literally
so-
have like 3. Maybe 4. That's stretching it.
Me and then
You
3
and then
other.
them. Yeah. You're in there. It's a square. It's 4 people. You're a square. But that's okay.
Someone is jealous. She's like,
I said outside my family, she's laughing because you're full of yourself.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just.
But yes. I know I can call you, even if it has nothing to do with
Yeah.
anything. I can call you and say, hey, Daniel, I just need to talk to somebody. And you'll listen. You might not know what I'm talking about, but you'll
What's
listen.
your plan for
For-
relationship? Do you want to get
Don't
married?
have one.
He is like trying
Do you wanna-
to.
He has been trying for
I've
like
not-
ever.
Disclaimer: I've not been trying nothing. I'm just asking because I want to know.
I don't
Trying
have
pretty
a
hard on
plan.
this podcast.
I know.
Yeah.
No, hold up.
I
know you
have no plan.
You want to have more kids, right?
At my age, really, I don't know. I mean, I'll be 33 in a couple months.
That's young. What do you mean at your age, like you're 66?
Do you know how hard it was for me to be pregnant at 31? Okay, no, you don't, because you're a man and you don't get pregnant. So
Well,
let me tell
I
you,
know
maybe
how it works. So.
maybe if I fall in love with a guy that has kids, then I will end up with more kids, and I'm okay with that too. But I'm not looking for anything. I'm not planning anything. If it happens, it happens. If not, then I guess I just
I'm done.
have just me and my son for the rest of my life, and I'm okay with that too.
I'm done with my questions. Do you have
Okay,
any
thank you.
questions?
I have no questions.
She's wearing me out. Okay. Do you have any questions for me?
I don't.
This is the first time I've had to say I'm done with my questions on my podcast.
Yeah, because I answered all of them with that one question.
Listen, Ashley, so good to have you. Always good to have you. And hopefully you are glad that you did this.
I am.
Hopefully it helps you. Hopefully it helps someone watching. Because we have a lot of people struggling with similar situations too. I'm looking at you now, Jen.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, hopefully we have, because there probably is 1-2 people out there going through probably something like this, but it's
Well, and thank you for letting us
Yeah.
be a part of this story and
Yeah.
helping, share
I'm-
your story. And
I'm glad that I got a chance to get
hopefully
it out
someone
there.
can listen to what you've shared and just be inspired to. It could be fight for their child, it could be fight for their own selves and just be better.
You
and
have
do
to
better.
fight. Something I did learn through all this is you have to do this for you.
Mm-hmm.
Even though your child should always come first.
Yeah.
In the struggle with addiction, you come first, and your child is a benefit of that, of the better person you are.
I always tell people, and it looks like a stupid advice, but I always say, forget about your child just for a minute. Because the truth is,
That's how it works.
if you
though.
better yourself,
then you'll be better
automatically you get the child.
Yeah.
But most times people are like, I want my child.
They're
I'm
so
fight for my
stressed,
child.
yeah.
And then they're angry with DHS, they're angry with whether it's the cops, they're angry
And they're
with
not
the court,
focusing.
they're angry. So tell people, just forget about the child for a minute. It looks stupid,
Yeah.
but really that's how you really
Yeah.
forget about the more. It's like a triangle. You have you have these issues, your child is at the top. As long as you're fixing it, it gets smaller. And you just realize, oh, my court hearing is next week and I will be getting my child back.
Yeah.
It's just like, whoa.
Yeah.
know? And you have those ones where it's just back and forth, because it's like, I want my child, I need to get my child.
They're trying to do everything to please. You're
You
trying
know?
to do everything to please the people who you're supposed to be
Yeah.
proving to that you deserve your child instead of trying to fix yourself who knows
Right.
that you don't.
The people I've seen
guess.
that have done like really well are people that have just been like, listen, I need to fix myself.
Yeah.
And even if somebody's not,
Yeah.
somebody is watching this and they're not necessarily have done or,
Right.
been through the same thing, just seeing the fact that you did what you did, if you can do it, other people can do it as well.
It's always
Whatever
Let me
they
ask
have to
you-
get through.
Let me ask you, what if someone is watching and they probably don't have a good support system like you had?
a lot of my
What
support.
would you say? I said someone watching well, she did it because she had fantastic
Right.
support system. I mean, if I had support system too, I probably would do it. What would you
That's
say?
an excuse. There's people out there that I know that have done the same thing that don't have a family support system.
Yeah.
Not very many, but it's doable. It is doable.
Because
You
it doesn't
should
have
be-
to. Sorry, go ahead.
You be your own support system.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to in the end. A family support system, friend support system, it makes all the difference in the world. But what it comes down to is how much do you support yourself? How much do you believe in what you're doing, and how much do
bad
you want it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing I would say is it's just like being a dad or being a mom. It doesn't have to be biological.
Right.
Right. Same thing with support system. It doesn't have to be biological.
No, it doesn't.
Do you understand? It could be a church community.
It could be a complete stranger.
I know people in my church, for example, that have found amazing support from church family. You know, it could be, I don't know, some kind of community group or something.
You can get it from AA sponsors, NA sponsors.
yeah.
You can get it from...
Yeah, you know, so there is, trust me, there is that support somewhere. And I like what you said, saying, well, I can't do it because I don't have support. It's just an excuse, you know. And I just put that up because there are people that probably watch this and be like, "Oh, she was lucky," you know.
I was lucky, but that's not why I did it.
Yeah, you know. Again, like I said, there are people that had maybe even better support system and still didn't get it right.
Right.
You know, so like I said, it's not really about the things around you. It's about you.
Yeah.
You know, because you are the one that connects the dots and makes it work.
What do you want? Who do you want to be?
Even before your support system really kicked in, you were already out there trying to get things done.
Yeah.
You know, so
I might not have been succeeding at it too great, but I was trying.
yeah, you were already out there trying to get
That's
things
what
done.
matters is that you put your mind to it and you were trying, you know, you set those goals and
I
you
took
wanted
the first
to do
steps
it
myself. Somebody else didn't do it for me.
Right.
And that's what
It's about.
people should
That's
know.
what, yeah.
It's been a long conversation, but it's been a really good conversation.
Yeah.
I got 2-pack of this for you. You didn't even use one.
I used 3 of them.
I'm
actually.
disappointed.
They're sitting here on this beautiful shelf.
Well,
Did you think she would go through a whole box?
well,
I thought I would. I thought I would.
but listen, guys. Again, we had a really good one with Ashley Butler. She, interesting story. She's it's not the finished product yet. Yeah, the camera is in her face. Yeah. You know, we're all work in progress. She's not there yet, but like I said, she's way far from where she used to be, and that's the key thing, that we're all making steps away from where we used to be and steps towards where we want to be.
And that should everybody should be doing that.
Yeah, that should be the goal.
There's always room to grow.
I don't know what the addiction is. It could be drugs, it could be alcohol, it could be whatever it is. You can beat it. And that's the message. That's the story. And I'll just put this out there. If there's someone that's probably going through something and you probably want to talk, you can send us a message, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube at The Grow Podcast, and we will definitely reach out to you. You could be trying to get a support system, trying to get some kind of help, and we will try to connect you with people, resources that can help you be better. It's one step at a time. We don't it's been about 2 years now.
Yeah.
And you're still taking steps. You're not,
I'm nowhere near finished.
Yeah. So it's, I don't want anyone thinking, just take that step.
Right.
Take the first step and then the second step and the third step. And trust me, you would be way far away from where you're at now. Yeah. And you'll be shocked at how much better life can be. Guys, subscribe. We're begging.
Again,
begging,
what are you
please.
waiting for?
Please, man. we that's one way that we can grow this platform, that we can do more with what we're doing. So on Spotify, Facebook, YouTube, please share, comment, like, and just subscribe to our platforms. Like I always say, lots of things going on in the world right now, but we can make a difference. As you step out this week, spread some love, spread some hope, and most importantly, be kind to someone. It's Jennifer Jones. It's me. The camera to me. Very good. It's me, your host, And we had
Wait, I wanted to wave. I'm just kidding.
Okay, and of course we had a special guest, Ashley Butler. Behind the camera is our wonderful producer slash wifey, Madeline Anele. And sitting down at the back of the studio is Ashley's sister. She's so quiet. She's never this quiet. But this is good.
Yeah.
And we love you guys. Thank you guys so much for the support. We'll see you with another exciting story on the next episode of the Grow Podcast. Have a great week, guys. Love you.